Hi, everybody. Jim Graham here for Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. On the line, I have a special guest joining me. She will be defending her Invicta FC Flyweight Championship on the 1st of November for Invicta 9. She is Barb Honchak. Barb, and thanks for coming back on Beyond the Cage.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, the last time we had you on the show, I actually had to look this up. We had you back on in November of last year for your title defense at Invicta 7. I can't believe it's been that long since we've had you on the show, but in the best short summary you can give us, what have you been doing this past year since we had you on last?
Well, I mean, there was kind of a little bit of a hiatus with Invicta. I took some time and spent some time with friends. Of course, I still train. I was in training, but I had a little more time to travel and be with friends and family and things like that. So a little bit slower paced year.
Now, did you go anywhere cool or exciting you'd never been to before?
Well, I traveled down to Florida with Kat Zingano, and we went and checked out, when she was deciding where she was going to have her camp, we went to a few gyms down in the Fort Lauderdale area, so that was pretty neat to go do, and go check out a few different gyms and things like that. But that was pretty much, the big trips were down to Florida. I went out to Vegas to help her get ready, or not Vegas, I did go to Vegas to corner her, but to Denver to help her train and things like that too, so. A lot of my travels involved something fight-oriented,
And speaking of Kat Zingano, she just booked a title fight against Ronda Rousey in January, and as a friend of hers, that's got to make you pretty excited to see her finally get a shot at the UFC championship. Yeah,
I'm happy for her. It's overdue, for sure.
Now, will you be attending that one in her corner for that?
I don't know yet if I'll be in her corner for that one or not, but either way, I definitely intend to be there, even if I'm just as a patron.
Now, of course, it's still a couple months away, but do you like her chances against Ronda?
I do. I think this will be a tough fight for both of them. I think Kat has what it takes, though. I think she's got the skill set and she's got the grittiness to make it happen for her. I really think she does.
Now, of course, in this past year, you were traveling a lot, still doing training, but was it hard just not preparing for a fight? Was it hard kind of training without kind of that payoff at the end for this past year?
No, I train all year round no matter what. It's kind of nice to be in the gym when there's not the pressure of a fight, because then I can just work on things that I want to work on without thinking about specific things that I need to improve on for that particular person. I don't know, I kind of like training without the pressure of the fight here and there. It really does give me a chance to change, how my look, how I move and just, my overall game.
Now, of course, one of the reasons for the long layoff was Invicta looking for a new TV deal. They ended up getting on the UFC Fight Pass, and I was wondering, what do you think of Invicta being on the Fight Pass?
I think it's great. It's job security. It's a whole other crowd that gets to come in and watch and see us that may not have really paid attention to us otherwise. And being how we're viewed online with web streams and things like that in the past, I think all of the same old fans will come back, for $10 a month on Fight Pass. I see no reason why they wouldn't purchase that and watch, So I think it's really good. It'll open up our fan base and, hopefully it means job security for us.
Now, Invicta had their first show on the Fight Pass back in September, headlined by Michelle Waterson, and I was wondering, what did you think of that first show on the Fight Pass?
I think it was great. Michelle is an awesome champion. That was a great fight. I think that it was a hit. I hope that the fans and those who watched it agree with me.
Jim Graham talking with Invicta FC Flyweight Champion Barb Honchak. You can follow her on Twitter. It's her name, @Barb Honchak. And speaking of social media a little bit here, Barb, I noticed that you've been doing things on Score, and a lot of the MMA fighters recently, not just Invicta, but also the UFC, have been getting on Score. And what do you like about using that site and app?
You know, I think it's a really good way for fans to connect directly to athletes. And not just MMA fighters, but it connects people to athletes from any sport at all. So it's a really easy way for people to find us and, communicate with us directly and share photos and videos, and it's just kind of fun that way.
Now, have you been watching The Ultimate Fighter at all this season with the first all-female cast with them competing for the strawweight title for the UFC?
A little bit. I haven't been following it, super intently or anything like that. I did see the last fight with Heather Jo Clark and Felice Herrig, but I haven't been following it super close, no.
Now, of course, your fight is on November 1st, and the day before is Halloween, so that probably maybe ruins some of your normal Halloween plans, but are you still going to have any type of costume, or are you going to try to do anything Halloween-related while you are out there in Iowa?
And, I've thought about it. I really have not made any plans. Usually, me and my husband host Halloween parties, so it's kind of sad that we're not doing that this year, but I just don't think that the weight cut and a Halloween party are going to mesh. No, I don't really have any plans. I thought about doing some things for weigh-ins, but I haven't really come up with anything yet. I'm hoping that maybe after the fight, I'll get to see a little bit of the Halloween. Hopefully people will still be out in their costumes and things like that.
Now, of course, this fight for Invicta 9 will be in Iowa. It's the first Invicta event not in Kansas City, and I was wondering, are you excited for that fact that you get to headline the first Invicta card that's not kind of in the home base there in Kansas City?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel like it's a huge compliment from Shannon and Invicta to bring it here. It's pretty awesome. It's in my own backyard. It's maybe 15 minutes from my gym, half hour from my house. It's great. I very rarely have fought in front of my hometown, so I'm pretty grateful for the opportunity to do so.
Now, when you booked this title defense against TAKAYO Hashi, was that someone that you had on your radar to fight eventually?
No, and I wasn't really sure. Since I've been in Invicta, I've had a pretty good idea. I didn't know my first fight was in Bethany, but from that point on, I pretty much had an idea of who my next fight was going to be because they were working on the contenderships and things like that. And so I had an idea, it's going to be one of these two girls throughout most of Invicta. So for this one, I had no clue. I had no clue who they were thinking of bringing in for me. And I think TAKAYO is a great option. She's been around in the game for a long time. She's got quite the record. She's fought on every venue, back to Strike Force, and she's been in the game and around for a long, long time. So I think it's a great fight for me.
Now, a lot of people probably haven't seen her fight in a very long time, but what can you tell us about her?
She has been very active still, mostly in Japan, though. She has a pretty good ground game as well as a judo game. She's a tough girl. The other thing about her I know is that she's very hard to finish. So she's the kind of girl that she always comes back. She always comes back, and it's very hard to put down. So it's going to be a tough fight.
Now, going back, obviously, with your friendship with Kat Zingano, she actually fought Hashi. Have you called her to see any insights on this matchup, like when you've been game planning for it?
I talked to Kat a little bit about it, but it's hard to gauge TAKAYO based on that fight because it was so long ago. And I think, Kat is definitely a different fighter than she was when she fought TAKAYO. And there's a really good chance that TAKAYO is a different fighter than when she fought Kat. I did ask her about that, about how her fight and how she felt, but, I'd only take it with a grain of salt because that fight was so long ago that she's not going to necessarily be the same fighter that she was back then.
Now, earlier you were saying during this past year you've got to work on a lot of different aspects of your game that maybe you wouldn't have had the chance to had you been preparing for different fights in this time span. So is there anything in particular you want to showcase on November 1st for your hometown there in Iowa?
Everything. I just want to run a gauntlet on her. You know, I want to take away her tools and leave her with nothing. You know, that's kind of what I want to do. I don't, you know, of course I'm not going to talk specifics, but, I guess that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. You know, I'm going to run a gauntlet on her. I'm going to use everything I've got and take everything she's got.
Now, of course, you always want to go in there and get a finish in a fight, but the fact that you haven't fought in so long, do you kind of want this thing to go a little longer just because you haven't had a fight in so long, or do you want to or does it matter if you can get a finish in a minute? It doesn't matter to you.
No, it really doesn't matter to me. You know, if I can finish her in a minute, that's an easy payday, you know. Hopefully that results in knockout of the night or something along those lines. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You know, I know from her previous fights and what I've seen that there's a really good chance that this is going 25 minutes. But if I get the opportunity to stop it, I'm going to.
Now, of course, you are the main event, but is there any other fights that you're looking forward to seeing on this card before you step into the cage?
You know, all of them. There's so many new girls. There's a lot of girls that I think I'm going to see fight for the first time that I'm not super familiar with on here. Of course, the quality is always pretty exciting. I love Caitlin Young. I always love watching Caitlin Young fight. I know her opponent got switched. I can't remember who to now, but both of those girls are always put on a good show. So I think it's going to be a really good card. I think there's going to be a lot of new talent that comes out and surprises people on this card. A lot of girls are being introduced to the public for the first time, so it should be a great show.
All right, I will get you out of here with this. When they announced your fight against Hashi, they also announced that Invicta 10 will feature Cyborg Santos dropping down to 135 pounds to make her debut in that weight class. And I was wondering, what did you think about Cyborg dropping down and trying that new weight class?
I think those 35ers are going to have the work cut out for them. Cyborg is a monster. You know, she's just super aggressive, super strong, and she's a talented woman. So I have a feeling that she won't be with Invicta for too long after she drops to 35. She's made it pretty clear that she's got her sights set on Ronda or potentially Kat. She just wants that title. She wants that UFC belt. So, I think she'll take the Invicta title, and I think she'll probably head on over to the UFC as soon as she gets the opportunity to take that title as well.
She is Barb Honchak, the Invicta FC flyweight champion. You can follow her on Twitter. It's just her name, @Barb Honchak. And as I mentioned, follow her on Score as well. And Barb, thanks for coming back on the show. Wish you the best of luck on the 1st of November, taking on TAKAYO Hashi. And, of course, as everybody knows, you can watch it on the UFC Fight Pass. So, again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, that was Barb Honchak right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.